Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this news analysis initiative. These are the articles that are important from today's newspaper. We will move on to the first one. The first article for the day, US tariff on India reduced to 18%. See, before this announcement, the United States had imposed very high tariffs on Indian goods, significantly raising the cost of Indian products in the US market. These tariffs had two parts, a 25% reciprocal tariff on Indian imports and an additional 25% penalty tariff tied to India's continued imports of Russian crude oil. Together, these pushed the total US tariff on Indian goods to about 50%, one of the highest tariff rates US has applied to India. Now, after the recent conversation, the US president said that the tariff on Indian goods will be reduced from 50% to about 18%, and this tariff cut is expected to take effect immediately. The next article for the day, wetlands as a national public good. Now, what are wetlands? Wetlands are areas where land and water meet. These include lakes, ponds, marshes, mangroves, floodplains, coastal lagoons, and village tanks. So, basically, wetlands are water rich ecosystems. They are not wastelands, they are extremely useful ecological systems. So, India has always had a strong relationship with wetlands. For example, in Tamil Nadu, traditional tanks helped irrigations. In Kerala, kenis, which are shallow wells, provided drinking water. In Andhra Pradesh, wetlands supported fishing livelihoods. So, historically, wetlands were sources of water, food, and livelihood, and they are also part of culture and heritage. This shows that traditional knowledge naturally protected ecosystems. Now, why are wetlands important? See, wetlands store water, recharge groundwater, prevent floods, purify polluted water, support biodiversity, provide fish and agriculture, protect coast from cyclones, and support livelihoods. So, wetlands are like nature's free infrastructure. They do the work of dam, drainage systems, sewage treatment, and flood control structures, but at zero cost. That is why the author calls wetland a national public good. Now, what is the problem today? Despite their importance, wetlands are among the most threatened ecosystems. In India, 40% of wetlands have disappeared in 30 years, and 50% of remaining wetlands are degraded. This is alarming. Now, why are wetlands disappearing? There are several reasons. The first one is encroachment and construction. Wetlands are being converted into buildings, roads, real estate, and infrastructure. They are wrongly seen as empty land. Number two, water flow disruption. Activities like dams, embankments, sand mining, and groundwater extraction disturb natural water flow. And wetlands depend on natural timing and movement of water. Number three, pollution. Untreated sewage, industrial waste, and agricultural chemicals are dumped into wetlands. This causes eutrophication, biodiversity loss, foul smell, and loss of flood production capacity. Number four, climate change. Sea level rise, cyclones, and coastal erosion are damaging coastal wetlands like mangroves. Number five, weak implementation. India has laws, but poor enforcement, lack of staff, funds, and trained experts lead to poor management. So the issue is implementation gap, not absence of policy. Now, what policies exist in India? See, the important frameworks here are Wetlands Conservation and Management Rules 2017, National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystems, Coastal Regulation Zone, and Ramsar Convention. Now, if you take India, India has around 98 Ramsar sites. These are internationally important wetlands, but rules alone are not enough without proper action. So, what solutions does the author suggest? First one is proper mapping and legal boundaries. Clearly identify wetlands, notify them legally, and prevent encroachment. Number two, treat wastewater before discharge. Wetlands should not act as sewage dumps. Use sewage treatment plants and constructed wetlands. Number three, protect catchment areas. Restore feeder channels, prevent blockages, and maintain hydrological connectivity. Number 4, use wetlands for disaster reduction. Mangroves and floodplains should be treated as natural flood and cyclone barriers. Invest in them like infrastructure. Number 5, build capacity. Train officials in hydrology, ecology, law, and community participation. So, better skills is equal to better management. So, the key message of this article is we have to shift from small projects to long term programs, from beautification to ecological health, and from department silos to watershed scale governance. Wetlands should not be parks or decoration spots, they should be functioning ecosystems. See, try answering this question. The Wetlands Conservation and Management Rules 2017 enacted in India mandate the identification and notification of wetlands. Which authority is primarily responsible for preparing the list of wetlands to be notified under these rules? See the next article for the day, a cautious nudge. See, the Finance Commission of India is a constitutional body under Article 280. Its job is to decide how taxes collected by the centre are shared with states, recommend grants, and improve fiscal balance between centre and states. And it is appointed every 5 years. Currently, we are discussing the 16th Finance Commission. It will decide tax sharing for 2026 to 2031. Now, what is the main recommendation? The Commission has recommended states' share in central taxes is 41%. This is called vertical devolution. Now, let me simplify. Vertical devolution means money sharing between center and all states together. So, out of every rupees 100 collected by the center, 41 rupees goes to states and 59 rupees stays with the center. Now, what do states want? States demanded 50% share. Why? Because today states spend more and earn less. Their responsibilities include like health, education, agriculture, law and order, and local development. But their tax powers are limited, especially after GST. So they depend more on the center. That's why they want a higher share. Now, what problems are states facing? See, there are three key issues. Number one, GST reduced states' flexibility. See, under GST, major taxes merged. States lost independent taxation power and revenue uncertainty has increased. So, fiscal space has shrunk. Number two, more spending responsibility. States must spend on welfare schemes, infrastructure, and social sectors. But revenue growth is not matching expenditure. Number three, borrowing pressure. Because of less revenue, states are borrowing more from markets. This increases debt and interest burden, now which is very risky in the long run. So what changes did the commission make? Even though vertical share remains 41%, the commission changed horizontal devolution. Horizontal devolution means sharing money among states. So how Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, etc. divide the money. Earlier, tax effort weight was around 2.5%. Now, it is replaced with contribution to GDP and the weight has been increased to 10%. Meaning, states that produce more, contribute more to the economy, or more efficient will get slightly more funds. This rewards performance. But this editorial says the changes are too cautious. Why? Because vertical share unchanged, still 41%, but states need more space. So the editorial suggests increase gradually to 45% or more. The other problem here is cesses and surcharges issue. The center collects cess and surcharge. These are not shared with states. So even if 41% is promised, the actual divisible pool becomes smaller. This reduces states' real share. The Commission only highlighted this issue but did not strongly recommend correction. The other is the centrally sponsored schemes. More money is coming through centrally designed schemes, which means center decides policy, design and priorities. States only implement. This reduces state autonomy. So federalism becomes weaker. See, when you look into fiscal federalism, that is, fiscal federalism means financial independence of states, fair sharing of revenue, and cooperative governance. But currently, center controls money and states depend on grants. So, balance is disturbed. So, right now, what we need is structural reforms, not small adjustments. The next article for the day, a full stop. A bench of justices, J.B. Paritwala and R. Mahadevan, made a strong statement. They said, girls cannot exercise freedom and dignity if they do not have functional toilets, clean water, sanitary products, and safe disposal systems. So, menstrual hygiene is not a luxury, it is a basic right. Therefore, it comes under Article 21, right to life with dignity. Now, why is this important? Earlier, menstrual hygiene was seen as a welfare issue or a scheme based issue. Now, the court has converted it into a rights based issue. This is a big change because if something becomes a fundamental right, the state becomes legally responsible. So, the government cannot ignore it. Now, what problems did the court identify? The court highlighted something called menstrual poverty, which means many girls lack sanitary pads, toilets, water, and privacy. Because of this, they face stigma, embarrassment, health risk, school absenteeism, and dropouts. So, menstruation becomes a barrier to education, and this violates dignity, equality, and bodily autonomy. Now, what directions did the court give? Very strong directions. The court ordered all schools must have functional toilets, gender segregated toilets, water supply, hygiene facilities, and proper disposal mechanisms. And importantly, government schools state will be held accountable and private schools can lose recognition if not compliant. So there are punitive consequences. This ensures serious implementation. See, this article gives data from National Family Health Survey 5. It says 77.3% use hygienic methods now, earlier, which was around 57.6%. So, improvement has happened. But still, nearly 25% girls lack access. That means 1 in 4 girls still struggles, which is unacceptable. Now, why schemes alone are not enough? India already has awareness programs, Swachh Bharat guidelines, and NGO efforts, but problems remain because implementation is weak, funding is inconsistent, and efforts are fragmented. However, stigma still continues. So, what we need right now is legal enforcement plus policy commitment, not just projects. See, this judgment connects to Article 21 right to life with dignity. That is, life means quality of life, not mere survival. Second, Article 14, which is equality, girls should not suffer discrimination. Next, Article 15, no gender discrimination. Then, right to education, girls missing school violates this. So, menstrual hygiene is not only a health issue, it is also a human rights issue, a gender justice issue, and a dignity issue. The next article for the day, visible progress, invisible exclusion. See, budget 2026-27 shows fiscal deficit as 4.3% of GDP and capital expenditure as 12.2 lakh crore rupees. This means the government is borrowing more money and investing heavily in infrastructure, that is roads, railways, manufacturing, etc. The aim is to build a Vikshit Bharat, a developed India. At first glance, this looks very positive. More infrastructure usually means more growth, more investment, and more jobs. But here comes the problem. What is the hidden issue? Yes, GDP is growing, but employment is not growing. So we have visible progress in terms of high GDP and high capital expenditure, and invisible exclusion like fewer jobs. And this is called jobless growth. See, let's see the evidence. There is something known as youth need rate. See, NEET rate here means not in education, employment, and training. Nearly 23 to 25% of youth are NEET, meaning they are not in education, employment, and training. So, 1 in 4 young Indians have no productive engagement, even during high investment period. And this is worrying. See, if you look into construction sector, construction should create many jobs because it is labor intensive. But employment elasticity fell from 0.59 to 0.42. See, if you take agriculture sector, labor should move from agriculture to industry, then industry to services. But in India, reverse is happening. Employment in agriculture has increased. Why? Because people who don't get jobs in cities are going back to farms. This is distress migration, not progress. This shows people are forced into low income work. Now, why is this happening? There are three reasons. The first reason, capital intensive growth. New sectors like semiconductors, automation, and high tech manufacturing needs machines, robots, and skilled labor, not large numbers of workers. So, high GDP, low employment. Reason 2, MSMEs are weak. Labor intensive MSMEs cannot scale and they lack finance and cannot compete with big firms. Large firms dominate output but hire fewer workers, so small firms suffer. Reason 3, productivity versus wages gap. Output per worker is increasing but wages are not increasing. So the profits go to companies, not to workers. So inequality rises. So, what kind of economy is forming? The author calls this is a dual economy, two layers. Top layer where you can see big firms, high productivity, capital intensive, few jobs. Bottom layer, informal sector, self employment, agriculture, lower wages, and unstable income. So, growth exists, but inclusion is missing. See, the core message of this article here is the government assumes first growth will happen, then jobs will come automatically. But the author says employment should not be an afterthought, it must be a direct policy goal. Otherwise, youth frustration, inequality, social instability, and demographic dividend will be wasted. So, the key takeaway here is India's budget focuses on infrastructure and GDP growth, but without labor absorption, this becomes jobless and exclusionary growth. The next article is Finance Commission triples grants to urban local governments. Now, what are urban local governments? Urban local governments include municipal corporations, municipal councils, and nagar panchayats. These bodies manages roads, drainage, water supply, sanitation, waste management, etc. They are called the third tier of government under the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. So they are closest to the people. Now, what is the new recommendation? The 16th Finance Commission has recommended 3.5 lakh crore rupees to urban local governments for 5 years, and this is more than 2 times, that is almost 3 times than the previous allocation. Now, why is this important? Because India is urbanizing fast. More people moving to cities, small towns becoming cities, and pressure on services. But in general, cities lack funds, infrastructure, and planning capacity. So, problems increase in terms of traffic, garbage, floods, water shortage, and poor sanitation. So, without money, cities cannot solve these issues. So, this allocation directly strengthens urban governance. See, another important change here is earlier only 36% of local body grants went to cities. Now, 45% of local grants go to urban local governments. So, cities are getting a bigger share. This shows a clear policy shift towards urban development. Now, what type of grants are given? Two types. Number one, tied grants, which can be used only for water supply, sanitation, and basic services. So, money must be spent on essentials. Number two, untied grants. They can be used freely for local needs, location specific problems, but not for salaries and office expenses. This gives flexibility to local bodies. See, there is a special feature which is known as the urbanization premium. The Commission has proposed 10,000 crore rupees urbanization premium grant. The purpose is to help rural areas and small towns transition into proper urban centers. This supports planned urbanization, better infrastructure, and smoother migration. So, small towns don't become chaotic cities. Next article for the day, why are tribals protesting in Maharashtra? See, thousands of tribal farmers organized long marches led by All India Kisan Sabha. They protested against delay in land titles, rejection of forest claims, lack of irrigation, lack of jobs, and education. But at the heart of everything is land rights. What is the main issue? The core issue is poor implementation of the Forest Rights Act 2006. What does FRA say? It gives ownership rights, cultivation, and livelihood rights to tribals and forest dwellers for land they have been cultivating for generations. The goal is to correct historic injustice done to forest communities. Then, why are tribals protesting? Because the law exists but implementation is weak. If you look into the problems faced, the first one is a large rejection of claims. Around 45% claims are rejected. So many families get nothing. The second is very small land allocation. Some are given only a small fraction of the land they actually cultivate. So they remain poor and unviable farmers. Number three, no individual titles. In many places, land recorded in village name, not in individual's name. Without clear titles, they cannot take bank loans, get crop insurance, access government schemes, and invest in farming. So legally they exist, but economically excluded. See, they also want implementation of Panchayat's extension to Scheduled Areas Act 1996, which is nothing but the PESA Act. See, this gives self-governance, local decision making, and jobs in local administration. But many posts are vacant here. Now, why is land so important for tribals? For tribals, land is equal to income, food security, identity, culture, and dignity. Without land rights, they become landless laborers, migrants, and trapped in poverty. So, this is not just an economic issue, it is social justice, constitutional rights, and livelihood security. The next article for the day: how can adaptive testing be adopted in India? See, the Indian Institute of Technology Council has recommended making JEE Advanced adaptive instead of the traditional linear exam. The aim is better assessment, less stress, and more fairness. Now, what is the current system? Today, exams are linear. Students have same questions, same paper, same order, and for everyone it is same. The problem here are this encourages rote learning, coaching tricks, guessing strategies, and not real understanding. So it tests speed more than ability. Now, what is adaptive testing? See, adaptive testing is a computer based and a dynamic one. It uses item response theory. How it works means it will start with a medium question. If the answer is correct, the next question will be a harder one. If the answer is wrong, then the easier question will come. So systems keeps adjusting the difficulty. So each student gets different questions, but all are evaluated on the same ability scale. So the goal here is fewer questions, more accurate measurement, and it tests real understanding. Now, why this is recommended? Because adaptive tests reduce exam stress, discourage coaching tricks, focus on concepts, measure true ability, it increases fairness and shorten test time. When you look into global exams like Educational Testing Service GRE, Graduate Management Admission Council GMAT, they already use these kind of adaptive testing. So India wants to modernize assessment. Now if you look into the challenges, the first one is the legal challenge under Article 14. Different question papers may be seen as unequal treatment, and this may violate equality principle. So, normalization must be transparent and algorithm must be fair. Number 2, trust issue. Parents may ask, how can 20 hard questions score higher than 50 easy ones? So, public awareness is needed here. Number 3, technical issue. We need strong internet, reliable computers, and no glitches, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, otherwise, litigation risk. Number 4, question bank requirement. This need large item banks, calibrated difficulty, no leakages, and full syllabus coverage. And it is very complex to prepare. Then, how can India adopt it? See, the council suggests that it should be a phased rollout, like 2-year transition. We have to provide free adaptive mock test and show the transparency in scoring. And we have to establish grievance redressal, legal safeguards, and infrastructure upgrade. So change should be gradual, not a sudden one. See the next article for the day. What is the next phase for rural women entrepreneurship? Now, what is Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihoods Mission? The goal of this scheme is to reduce rural poverty, empower women, and promote livelihoods through self help groups. And it is a flagship scheme of the Ministry of Rural Development. When you look into the achievements so far, 10 crore households mobilized and 91 lakh SHGs are formed and rupees 11 lakh crore bank credit has been given. If you look into the non-performing assets of these loans, it is around 1.7% and 2 crore Lakpati Didis. So it is one of the largest women empowerment programs in the world. Now, what is the issue here? The scheme has succeeded in savings, credit access, and basic livelihoods. But now, women want to move from survival to entrepreneurship. micro activity to enterprises. So the question is, what should be the next phase? See, there are key problems identified here. The first one is the weak cluster level federations. These cluster level federations or higher level self-help group bodies, they should be community owned decision making centers, but currently they are controlled by officials and they lack autonomy. So empowerment is limited. Number two, idle funds and weak accountability. Huge funds lie with them. Risk of misuse, poor monitoring. So they need social audits and financial audits. Number three, limited credit access. SHGs get small loans only, but to scale business, women need bigger loans, individual credit. But the problem here is no personal credit history like CIBIL score. So banks hesitate to provide loans. Number four, debt only model. Currently, only bank loans, but enterprises need equity, venture capital, and blended finance. So, financing here is outdated. Number five, poor marketing. Biggest bottleneck. Women produce goods but lack branding, packaging, logistics, and market access. So, products don't reach markets and the income remains very low. Number six, lack of convergence. Many departments run schemes separately related to agriculture, dairy, and food processing, but they don't work in silos. This reduces the actual impact. So, what solutions are suggested? The reform one is strengthen these clusters, make them autonomous, community owned, and business hubs. Examples to learn from Kudumbashree and Jivika. Reform 2, better finance. Move from only debt to equity, venture capital, and partnership with banks and NBFCs. So, this will generate individual credit scores. Reform number 3, convergence. Create coordination mechanism and integrated livelihood plans. So, all schemes work together. Reform number 4, marketing support. Create national marketing vertical, branding and packaging, state level professional marketing agencies, and logistics hubs. This is crucial for real income growth. Reform number 5, skill and professional support. Deploy business experts, finance professionals, and marketing specialists to help rural enterprises. So, the core message of this article is so far, self help groups focused on savings and loans. But the next phase must focus on entrepreneurship and markets. See the next article for the day, funding framework essential to ensure UPI remains a free service. India's United Payments interface has become the backbone of our digital economy, but now experts are saying a funding framework is essential to keep UPI free. Now, what is the current situation? UPI today handles about 21 billion transactions per month, and it is used by crores of people and even accepted by small kirana stores and zero charges for users. So, person to person it is free, and for small merchants also it is free. This zero cost model made UPI extremely popular because every poor households and small shops can use it without fees. Why is UPI so important? UPI has formalized small businesses, reduced cash usage, improved transparency, increased financial inclusion, and enabled instant payments. It is now critical financial infrastructure like roads or electricity. So it is no longer just an app, it is a public digital utility. Then what is the problem? Running UPI at this scale is expensive. It needs servers and data centers, cyber security, fraud prevention, dispute resolution, and 24 cross 7 uptime and technical upgrades. All this costs money. But since users pay zero fees, there is no clear revenue source, so sustainability becomes a concern. Now, what are experts suggesting? See, experts suggest that UPI must remain free for individuals and free for small merchants, but large, high volume merchants, corporates can be charged differently. This is called a differentiated funding model. So, what is a funding framework? It means creating a structured mechanism to fund infrastructure cost, maintenance, and innovation. The possible sources could be government support, small merchant discount rate from big merchants, ecosystem contributions, and cross subsidization. See the next article for the day, Gaza's crucial Rafah crossing to Egypt reopens with limits. See, this is very important for this year's prelims, so please have a look at the map. See, this Rafah crossing is also known as Philadelphia Corridor. Okay, the last article for the day, general relativity survives its hardest test yet. See, scientists at Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, LIGO, they detected the strongest gravitational wave signal ever recorded. It is called as GW250114. Think of it like a huge shock wave traveling through space. Now, what are gravitational waves? Imagine when you throw a stone into water, ripples form. Similarly, when massive objects like black holes collide, ripples form in space time. These ripples are called gravitational waves. And Einstein predicted them 100 years ago, and now we can detect them. Now, what created this wave? Two black holes collided, they merged and formed a bigger black hole. During this merge, huge energy is released and gravitational waves are produced. This was the loudest cosmic collision ever detected. So that's all for today. Thank you all for joining.